Hello and welcome to my channel. Hard to get these things in camera from a distance. Tobias just done a couple of videos about Bowie knives, and of course, you know I love Bowie knives. But one of the comments, um, he was talking about the Pakistani Bowies and stuff like that, and I left a comment to him saying, I bet if you get cut by one, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a $25 Bowie or a $200 Bowie or 300, gave him that price range, like really what they were originally designed for was a fighting knife, whether it was a kitchen knife looking thing or whatever, um, the eventual image that we have of like a Bowie knife is something that kind of like had the equivalent of Hollywood get a hold of it. They took something and made a legend out of it and stylized it. And then if somebody says, if you're in Southwest Spanish type style, somebody says, make me a knife, make me a Bowie knife, well, you're going to throw in your own influences in there. But when it comes down to what they're originally meant for, which was cutting people, the only difference between this is like the least expensive one. This one's made in El Salvador, but it's not Pakistan, but still. The only difference between this one and the rest of those is this is lighter. This is lighter, and of course, the steel and everything. But really, think about it. How many people would you have to slice open before your knife starts getting dull? Or that even if you don't maintain it. So, really, for what they were originally designed for, any of these would work. Even a kitchen knife would work. But if you want more like what's the difference between a cheap, inexpensive Bowie, mid-range type Bowie to expensive, it's all in. This is a case Bowie. Both of these are made in the United States, but still different steels, different materials and everything. This one's manufactured in El Salvador, but I just picked it up. I could have picked up a Pakistani Bowie up there also. The advantage to the inexpensive ones is that, well, it's the price. It's inexpensive. So if it breaks, you tend to use the more inexpensive knives more often than you do. I tend to, anyways, than the more expensive ones, just because if there's a chance of messing it up or damaging it, you kind of like baby the better ones just because. Now you don't have to. I mean, you can sit there and I've thrown this guy into the dirt and everything and chopped around with it a little bit, but I have another one that's just like it that I have not cut anything with. I haven't touched the edge or anything like that because basically I have two of them, So one is for messing around with and the other one is for using. But as far as like actual use and cutting and everything, really, this thing's sharp. It's more like machete steel, and I could sand these handles down to where they're more flush, but you can feel, it's just kind of like it's smooth down here, but it's sticking up a little bit here. For the price you pay, and it comes with this really decent sheath, which can be used on the Ontario SP10 Raider style, Marine Raider style Bowie. So, yeah, it's kind of fascinating, the different history, this goes on with them and stuff. But if we tend to get caught up into materials and steel and manufacturer and all this other stuff, when in reality that wasn't a big consideration. It was more probably of availability. What was available, for you for purchase that was within your price range, just like we have nowadays. You know, so that's just my thoughts on the difference between an expensive and inexpensive Bowie or anything in between is part of it is the price, part of it is, you're going to get a little bit better material sometimes. And then you can get up to customized buoys, which cost, hundreds of dollars or thousands, even if you go into antique ones, you're like, I want an authentic period piece. Well, it's going to cost you. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money to enjoy a Bowie knife, if it's allowed. Because, like I said, here in Texas for the longest time, these were specifically banned to have. It was like, ooh, you've got a Bowie knife. Kind of funny now, but it was serious stuff. If you just had one of these, you were walking around with it. Yeah. Kind of like the equivalent of offensive weapon, because, well, it's a weapon. I wouldn't call it offensive. I think they're pretty nice. But anyways, there you go. That's my few little thoughts on Bowie knives. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.